So you have to be willing to understand your ego and other tools in your toolbox, other parts of who you are. So when we say tools and we say toolbox, for others who are like you and don't necessarily go around collecting wrenches, hammers, screwdrivers, and build things, really all we're saying is you have to have a clear understanding of what makes you you. What are the component parts of you? We are all multifaceted, every single one of us. And no one of us are only our ego. We all have other parts that make us who we are. The ego is a wonderful entry point for understanding and going within to make other discoveries of what those aspects of us are. But there are so many parts of us. And so what we're saying is get to know all of those parts of you. They are all tools. They are all aspects of who you are. And so you're going to apply those parts of you differently in different situations. When you do that knowingly and mindfully and purposefully, then you're creating your life instead of having your life just happen to you. You become the builder. You don't have to think of it as though, okay, all this is pre-designed for me. Now, it may be, it may not be, depending on your belief system. But you at least have an opportunity to go along and help design whatever this is, so that it fits for you.
Right. To continue on the golf analogy, if we can, I feel like you're saying it beautifully. Like, for example, a golf course is a golf course, right?
You walk up to it, it's there.
It's there. It's already laid out in many ways. But how we play it, each person is going to play it completely different, have a very different experience, depending on the levels, right? And how we approach the golf course and why we approach it, and different experiences in life and how much we practice and all that. So, as a beginner golfer like yourself and someone who's had more experience, we would have two very completely different experiences on the exact same golf course. But that golf course doesn't define who we are. We get to choose how we desire to interact with that golf course. And I love what you're talking about with different clubs, because if I used your clubs, could I get around that golf course? Sure. But here's the problem. I'd be inherently limited by my experience of the golf course because I'm using something that is not me, not what helps bring the best out of me. And so that what seemingly could be a tool, like a golf club, ends up being a weapon for my own self, because I'm limiting who I am and the experience I can have. Because I can guarantee that I would shoot, if I had your clubs or I had my clubs, my best round would always be better with my own clubs that are fit exactly for me.
Yes.
And so that's what I feel like you're saying, is that no matter what faith, no matter what we believe in, that, life in some ways has some determination of how it may look, but it's our choice on how we interact with it and what tools we choose. If we're just stuck using someone else's tools, well, then we're never going to experience ourselves the way that we know is possible, the grandest vision, the greatest version of ourselves. But if we do take that time to set ourselves up in the way that is best for us, and we have a balanced understanding, we practice in that, then we can approach it in a way that is best for us, and we can succeed in a way that is fulfilling for us.
And how often do you have to check your clubs? Because it's not like you just go and you get them fit and suddenly, bam, I'm set. I never have to do anything again. Literally, how often do you have to check your clubs?
It's a great question. And that's actually one of the funniest part is that's actually one of the most least understood parts of golf is the continued checking of the clubs, because we forget that when we're playing golf and we're hitting down on the golf ball, Well, the club starts to, little by little, up, 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 up. So our lie angle, and even just how we approach the club, is off. So it's no longer fit for us. So we have to go back and, ideally, if you're playing pretty regularly, you'd want to check your lie angles every 4 to 6 months, I would say. If you're playing multiple times a week, you might even want to do every quarter, because just the force of hitting down, it changes. You want to be able to, the grips, for example, are great parts. If you're playing regular golf, you need to probably change your grips a minimum of once a year. Again, it's all depending on how much you use them. But there's plenty of people who approach golf where they get all the best stuff for themselves, and then they just keep the golf clubs in the garage and then never take the time to experience them.
And thus is the same with our life and our internal tools,
right.
Especially ego.
Yes.
How often do we check in on our ego? And so again, that set of clubs, if not properly maintained, you go out on the golf course, you shoot a horrible round. I've witnessed throwing of clubs, screaming, yelling, they end up in the pond. That tool became their weapon. Like, it was against them. The clubs are against me, the course is against me. But really, it was the lack of attention to the tool that created the experience that seemed to pin everything against the individual. And so it's very much the same. If we don't consistently focus on the tools that we've been given to navigate this amazing experience that we call life, this is such a gift. But we have to pay attention to the resources and the tools that we came with and consistently maintain them.
Right.
To have the optimal experience. And that's what we're offering here.
So well said. And it's no wonder that when we do attempt to play someone else's clubs, that we're inherently limited. And it feels like a fight because it's not in harmony. If we're not someone else, or we're using someone else's tools, they're not in harmony with who we are. And when we feel confined or limited, it's natural to just want to break free from that. And so no wonder it feels like a fight. But when you do create the tools that are for you, you feel that freedom. It no longer becomes a fight. It feels like harmony. It feels like peace. It feels like confidence, not from an overego standpoint. And it doesn't feel like it's confidence coming to overcome an underego standpoint. It's a balanced, natural, authentic confidence that each of us have when we are aligned with who we are.
It's that sense of self, that knowing of self, where it's like, okay, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
And it's good. This is who I'm meant to be.
Right.
And when we talk about codependency in that way, it is where we begin to feel like, oh, you should be able to use my clubs. Or, yeah, I should be able to just pick up your clubs and go. And we don't understand why we can't. Like, why it's not just interchangeable in that way. And it's understandable. When you think about it and you look at it from that perspective, well, why shouldn't I? We're all people. Why, if I'm your height, why shouldn't I be able to just pick up your club and go and be successful with it? We don't look at the small differences, And I think that's where we miss sometimes, because we don't look at the little subtle differences between all of us. Are we similar? Yeah, we are. We're all humans, all on this journey. There are many things that make us the same. And it's wonderful if we can get to a point where we connect on our similarities, but we also have to honor our subtle differences and allow ourselves to bring forward our subtle differences and celebrate those.